am. Welcome everybody back to BVarsity Game at Night. This is Friday, September 21st. We are now finally in conclusion of Week 6. The end of non-league schedule is done. We are brought to you here by Grapevine MSP and Motor City Buick GMC. I am for now joined by Josh Bennett and by John Mettis. Diana, show us where, is Teddy here? Teddy's not here. Teddy's on his drive back from Delano. Probably went to Jenny's or Elmer's or something.
Yeah, he said he was going to get tacos. So
yeah. Okay. So Jenny's is closed. So he found a taco truck somewhere. So he's on his way back down in the 99. He'll talk about that Arvin Kennedy game that he was at tonight. Hopefully. Hopefully. Guys,
or we'll talk about something else. You never know.
Yeah.
Other than a few games.
Very ugly week.
Very ugly week for high school football in Kern County. BHS lost. BCH lost? Is that the right?
BCHS was punished.
Yeah. Absolutely pummeled by nationally ranked team on national television.
They got sent to the room with no dessert.
They didn't even get dinner.
Yeah.
They didn't eat.
I mean, we
had to watch somebody else eat.
When we talk about, how St. John Bosco, beat up on Garces the last couple of years, and what BHS did to Tatch earlier this year, and it's just the level of competition. But this was just something bad. But a couple teams got Miramonte. We'll talk about them in a little bit. They're on a 2-game win streak, which is pretty incredible.
Forever, yeah.
When you
couple of thrillers too.
Yeah. So congratulations to Christian Johnson and the staff over there and the kids at Miramonte. Yeah. We'll get to that in a second. Why don't we just start off with the first game, and that was one right down the street. Bakersfield High taking on Sierra Canyon. BHS was ranked number 2 on our Central Section rankings. They no longer will be. Sierra Canyon ranked behind BHS in the Cal High State ranks. No longer.
Yeah.
After the Trailblazers came in here and kind of did what Servite did to BHS 5 weeks ago in the season opener. BHS just couldn't overcome any of their own mistakes, their own miscues, their own fumbles, their own penalties, and allowed Sierra Canyon to have short field. And there you have it, a 31-7 victory at Griffith Field. Let's look at the highlights, if you will. Captain Mills, a Navy captain that his remains were found. He was just a month ago was remembered before this game, so that was a cool little thing for BHS. As Sierra Canyon gets on the ball first, quarterback the sophomore, Caden Peary with the 1-yard run, and on the opening series for Sierra Canyon, they're up quickly 7-0. Good defense, intermittently for BHS tonight. There's Adrian Moreno with a nice sack on Peary in the first quarter, but then Sierra Canyon comes back. Nice run there by Williams, a 9-yard run. That was his first of 2 touchdowns in a matter of 35 seconds after on the ensuing offensive series for BHS. They fumbled on the first play. 3 plays later, Williams comes back in this time for an 8-yard scamper, and it's quickly 21-0 in the first half for Sierra Canyon. BHS did not have a play over 10 yards for the first 16 minutes of this game. They really got some things going here on this drive. Cameron Williams finds Isaac Jernigan, takes a licking, but watch this. He gets up and shows no signs of anything there. So nice catch. His first one of the year, which is pretty incredible if you think about it. He's been taking a lot of sweeps and stuff like that. And then Carl Jones on the Wildcat QB keeper. And that would be the lone score for BHS tonight. That would cut it 21-7. Jones would have a field goal or punt return that came back to the 33, but they weren't able to do anything to at the end of the half, and a missed field goal. And Sierra Canyon comes right out in the second half with a 20-yard run by Sumlin. And there you have it. Wesley Wilson here. Nice run here for 40 yards. He had 110 yards on the ground, but BHS just couldn't overcome any of the penalties that kind of, were their bugaboo in week 1 against Servite. And again, you get a Southern Section, decent team, a top 50 ranked team in the state coming in, and BHS just can't figure it out. And Paul Gola tonight said, this is on me. This is on me and the head coach. If we're still doing the same things now that we did in week 1, that's on me. We need to fix this. But he says it's good to fix it now. But do you want these things happening in week 6?
No. I mean, with the way BHS has been playing the past few weeks, you thought they did clean it up. So I don't understand. I mean, you might, but I don't understand why all of a sudden it just comes back. I mean, I don't know if it's just Sierra Canyon's that good of an opponent or they just had an off night or what, but...
And then Yeah, well, Carl Jones, I talked to him afterwards. He got kicked out of the game for, jostling with another player. And, the last player to jostle is the one that gets kicked out. So he gets kicked out. He can't play against Stockdale next week. He told me, he's bummed out because he doesn't get to play against his old head coach of Golden Valley, Eric Smith, who's now the offensive coordinator at Stockdale. So he doesn't get to play in that game because of that. But he said afterwards, he goes, we had a bad practice coming in, and it showed tonight. And, but if you're going to take anything away, the year that BHS won a state title in 2013, I'm not trying to compare that team with this team, especially with Derek Vickers, who was in the stands tonight. Mm-hmm. That team lost two games in non-league play.
Yeah.
If you could turn it around, figure it out in league, and go 5-0 in league and get a good top 3 seed, because they're not going to get a top 2 now after what Buchanan did tonight.
Yeah, Buchanan hanging in there with De La Salle.
Yeah. So, it's going to be 1 and 2. That game next week between Central and B8 and Buchanan is really going to be for the 1. Who's going to get the 1 seed in the playoffs in Division 1. And then BHS is just going to have to fight to try to keep that number 3 seed over Liberty, over Arroyo Grande.
Yeah, they just lost their home game in the semis unless something happens.
Yep, exactly. So, this...
It's not an easy road.
It's not an easy road, especially when you see what Buchanan did tonight. But here you go, BHS falling again, and then, you got to open up league play next week at Stockdale. A team that's been on the run. I don't think Stockdale is going to be able to beat them next week, but I could be completely
Carl
wrong.
Jones isn't there, so who knows?
Yeah, who knows? So there you go. BHS falls, and then Bakersfield Christian on national TV tonight. Diana, go ahead and just run the highlights, if you will.
The score says everything.
Yeah, the score really says it all. ESPNU was there tonight, and as you can see, all the camera and all the festivities were out there. The sideline mic, the big SAT truck behind the home stands, and the Eagles came out, and that's about as much running as they did against Oaks Christian tonight. And I'm not trying to be callous here by any stretch of the imagination. But when it's 83-0, it's 83-0. So, you just got to take it for what it's worth. So here's Oaks Christian. First drive of the series, it is Josh Calvert to Donovan Davis for an 18-yard touchdown pass. And the Lions are going to do a lot of celebrating tonight. They scored on 6 of their first 7 series. Here is Calvert to Sebastian Macaluso. What a name. Before that, he recovered a punt return in the end zone for a touchdown. So that one made it 21-0. Still 4 minutes left in the first quarter, and it just got worse and worse and worse. It was 63 to nothing at the half. Ooh. And you saw, this is why ESPN was in town, ladies and gentlemen. Kevion Thibodeau, the number 1 ranked senior player in the nation, there, right there with the big hair, smiling on the sideline. The dude left at halftime, and according to Steve Lynch's story, drove back down to L.A. for a red eye so he could have his official visit at Alabama next week. What's that?
Well, tomorrow.
Yeah, what'd I say? Sorry, tomorrow, yeah.
So, that's incredible. I've never heard of that. That's probably the most crazy thing I've ever heard of in high school football.
So there you go. Kevion Thibodeau, the number 1 ranked player in the nation, the reason why ESPNU was in town, leaves at halftime to get on a red eye and go to the number 1 team in the nation at Alabama tomorrow.
Look who's
here. And ladies and gentlemen, Teddy Feinberg.
I'm here? Where'd you eat? Wow, look at that final.
Where did you eat?
I honestly, I was
Wait,
just
hold on. Do you not know about this?
I saw it was 77-0.
Okay, and then the final play of the game was an interception return for a touchdown. And they scored as time expired. They didn't kick the extra point, obviously.
Why not?
Why?
I'm joking.
I mean, that one extra point.
We were just talking about something, Teddy.
They covered.
Yeah.
We were just talking about something. Kevion Thibodeau left at halftime to go take a red eye to Alabama. Thoughts?
So he flew out of Bakersfield?
No, he probably went back to L.A. or Burbank or something.
Yeah. So
but
he could go take his official visit to Alabama.
He left at halftime, though.
I mean, he didn't pull Vontae Davis, but he left at halftime.
He left at halftime.
He didn't retire.
What are your thoughts on that? John thinks it's the greatest thing ever. That's like folklore type stuff that you hear out of high school football.
When is the next time you're going to see that?
I mean, it didn't affect the outcome of the game.
Exactly.
Well, that's my whole point.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
do you think that was pre-planned? Do you think they knew that they were going to be able to get ahead of BCHS that quickly, where he would have felt comfortable any which way but loose that he was going to bounce at halftime?
Yeah. He bought the ticket.
I mean, not to be mean, but did you think it was going to be close at halftime?
Well, no, but I'm just asking, do you think that they had enough, thought process to go, you know what, this is going to be okay?
You know what it is, honestly? He's the top. He is the number one recruit. I mean, it's not top 50. It's not the number one in 2019, and I'm sure, he doesn't live a normal high school football player's lifestyle.
No.
And,
No.
yeah, I mean, clearly the ticket was bought, and clearly it didn't affect the outcome, so, right? I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so while those two games were completely out of hand, we actually had a decent game here in town.
Wow.
South
I didn't
taking
know
on
that.
West at home tonight, and West comes back.
I knew South was
outscores-
leading. I knew South was
yeah.
leading.
West scores 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. They'd outscored the Rebels 20-6 after half, and West victorious over a previously 3-1 South team.
Yeah, South was up 20-0 on a pair of Daniel Lomax touchdowns, finished 19 carries, 224 yards, but West.
Wow,
the
they
second
were
half
up
come back.
20-0,
Yeah.
and West came. I mean,
that was the last
Give me a
that I
first
had
name of
seen
Jackson.
that
Do we have a
score.
first name for Jackson here for West? Because this kid,
Damani?
yeah, Jackson, 25 carries, 207 yards.
Yeah, obviously.
And, while
relief
it
of
looks like
LJ
LJ Lalau did not play again, so
Is that
a
number
big.
one for them?
What's that?
Is that number one? Anyway.
That's a big game for them.
Yeah.
He had a 60-yard touchdown run in the third quarter. He had another 2-yard run in the fourth quarter. So the West Vikings get a big win.
I mean,
to
they
finish off
they
non-league
must
schedule.
have cleared up their pass defense because last weekend they couldn't cover a traffic cone out there.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the highlights John brought back to the studio.
And,
were
and Bryson
unbelievable.
Aguirre, who has been averaging about 170 yards passing, goes 8 of 13, 90 yards, and throws an interception.
I mean, South has scored points this year. Trevor wrote a whole story on that going into today.
Yeah.
But West,
They
West
scored
stepped up.
points in the first half, and then
Yeah,
second
this is a
half,
big-
I guess
this-
West made some
This
adjustments.
is a big win, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we thought South was the clear and ahead favorite going into league play, but now you got to think.
Yep. Another close game here. Wasco in a non-league game here because there's 7 teams in the SSL, so somebody's got to play a non-league or take a bye. So Wasco defeating Delano tonight at home, 26-21. The Tigers are now 4-1 overall, while Delano falls to 3-2. Joel Rocha, 9 carries, 101 yards for the Tigers. Justin Horton, 4 carries, 96 yards, including an 84-yard run, which was the first score of the game for the Tigers, and the 26-21 victory. Josh, do you have anything else?
Well, when I went to their practice in the summer, Coach Martinez was pretty happy about their running back by committee that they have, and clearly it paid off here with the fresh legs. 101 on 9 carries. What was the other one? I don't.
Yeah, for Justin Horton had 4 carries for 96
4
yards.
for 96. Yeah, so obviously, the fresh legs paid off for them tonight.
Yep,
Bottom,
so-
I mean, our freelancers, Benningfield and Castillo, went to the 2 headliners.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Check this one out. Miramonte, we talked about at the beginning of the show. They're on a 2-game winning streak tonight, now with a 37-20 win over Rosamond.
They play like 85 Bears. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, so there you go. Miramonte, after a 14-game losing streak, now has won 2 straight. So they get a big non-league game before they open up SEYL play next week. So a 37-20 victory for Miramonte. And, 2 wins is 2 wins. And, it looks like they're going to get at least 3 because I think that they're a better team than Foothill right now.
Yeah,
So
I mean, when was the last time you said Miramonte's on a winning streak?
I don't know if I've ever said that.
Maybe
I don't know if
since
I've
their
ever said
inception,
that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever said that.
Yeah.
So-
So good on them.
Yep.
Christian Johnson saying it. Good
Yeah.
Oh,
for him.
yeah, he is.
I'm happy
Okay,
for him.
so Teddy, you came back just in time. We look at these SSL games tonight, and the first one up.
Oh, well, you look at
Yeah,
that.
would you look at that? So, Teddy, why don't you take it away for this one?
Well, this was not a close game. Bottom line, actually, Arvin shot themselves in the foot an awful lot in this game. They had 3 first-half fumbles. They had, I believe his last name is pronounced
Norzagaray?
Norgazaray.
just listen
Close.
to me.
And Norzagaray.
Yeah.
And
We call him Carlos.
I believe was his
Yes,
first name.
yeah.
And
He's a soccer player.
Carlos had a great. I mean, he was by far their best runner, and they seemed to go away from him in the first half, which I thought was a mistake. They had a strong punter. They forced a turnover or 2, but they 3 first half fumbles really hurt them. And Kennedy ran the ball obviously very effectively out of their wing tee. They had a handful of runners. We all know about Tyreek Walker. He wasn't even really the focal point tonight. He's been banged up. They decided to kind of lessen the load on him. They went more with Sandoval, who's very, very quick back out of the backfield, catches the ball out of the backfield, very effective runner. They have a pounder, Medina, who runs the ball in between the tackles. So they controlled the clock on the ground, obviously, and this really wasn't close. They said they weren't thinking about Shafter down the road. They're taking it one game at a time, but I have a very hard time.
I'm sorry. Everybody's got that October 19th game schedule.
Yeah, well,
right now.
but what are they supposed to say realistically?
I
mean, obviously they're saying we're taking it one game at a time, but I think the entire school there has that game circled. That'll be an interesting football game. I think they'll be able to run. If they can run the ball and keep Shafter's offense off the field, they might be able to do some things. But yeah, I mean, it was what it was. They beat them thoroughly, and Trevor just got up and left. So yeah, that's what it was, John.
Well, and Arvin was up. They scored the first. They had their first touchdown, and then when did the second touchdown come? What was the score at that point?
The second, they actually had two nice touchdowns. The second touchdown, they were down, I want to say 44-7. But their quarterback, Garza, dropped back. He threw a really nice deep ball over the top of the defense, number 17, their receiver, Rosales, who beat the secondary. So they actually, their second touchdown was a thing of beauty, believe it or not.
But once they got that first score, they were behind the whole
Yes, pretty much. The first score was their moment of glory. Kennedy, they made the score 7-6. They missed the extra point. Arvin forced a fumble deep inside Kennedy territory. First play, Arvin fumbled the ball right back. Then I think they were down 13-7 at that point. They had another fumble later in the half. So, the one thing Arvin did do was they attempted the Philly special.
I saw that. Yeah,
that was unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, the pitch to Rosales, the receiver, he tried to find the quarterback, Garza, out of the backfield. A ball was clearly incomplete, but they did what they had to do there, so that was cool. And
I mean, in a game like this, why not?
Yeah, it's fun to get those trick plays in.
Refs didn't institute the running clock immediately, which I thought was a little bizarre. Arvin had some guys down the field. Now that's how kids get hurt, to be honest with you. They were outmatched at a certain point in this game, with Kennedy getting a lot of penetration on the defensive line. And they were still stopping the clock on incomplete passes.
I think the coaches have to agree to that before the fourth quarter.
It was too little, too late on that front.
Yeah.
But in any event, Kennedy won handily. They look good. I definitely will be interested to see what they do against Shafter. I think if they can control the ball with their ground game, keep Shafter's offense off the field, they'll have a shot. Like I said, Walker banged up, didn't play the whole game. I will say, from what I saw, he looked like a very legitimate player. That kid's legit. Tyreek Walker, the running back.
Thanks, Teddy.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
Okay, so I apologize to anybody that's watching us on the website that couldn't find us on Facebook. We're having some technical difficulties getting on Facebook Live right now, so I do apologize about that, but we will have this on Facebook on demand here right after we're off the air. I will go in and put it onto Facebook, so if you're watching this on the live on our website, thank you. If you're watching this on Facebook on demand, I apologize it didn't go off live. So just a little technical difficulty. Those things happen, but we're going to press on. We've got another game here. Chavez gets a nice big win tonight over McFarland in league play, 36-32. So as McFarland went 4-0, 4-0 to start the season, they're now 0-2 in their first season in the SSL, while Chavez gets a big second win, and they're now 2-4 and 1-1 in league play.
Looks like an entertaining game.
Yeah, very much so. McFarland scored with 11 seconds left to cut the score within, get the game within 4 points, but obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those back and forth games where Chavez just kind of had a 2-score lead on him, but it was back. I mean, it was a good game. So
yep. Okay, so
compared to everything else this week.
John Mettis, you went out to Shafter for your first time. You're hitting your 1-year mark here soon.
Yeah,
next week,
close.
I think. Yeah, you and Teddy are both getting close to your 1-year mark.
October 2nd.
Yep.
We got to do something for that. John, what did you think of Shafter?
Well, Shafter looked good, 57-0. I mean, is this one team really good? Is this one team not so good? Taft, first two offensive plays, they have false starts. It seemed they dropped every single kickoff that didn't go out of bounds or land in the end zone, which was a little bizarre. They had two unsportsmanlike conduct penalties in the first quarter. So, Shafter was up, 43-0 at halftime.
It wasn't their night.
Alex Aguilar, here we go. We'll see here on the highlights that, Taft really stacked the box. They keyed in on Aguilar, making him throw it. So here's the first score of the day. Little catch and run. Break some tackles. Who was that? Oh, that was Jackson Sanchez, his first of 2 touchdown catches. This one went for 54 yards. I do know. So yeah, Aguilar. I mean, I think he only ran the ball for 8 yards total in the game.
Wow.
But
It's got to be a season low for him.
here's Pedro
Nothing
Vila,
mattered.
9-yard run, does a couple jump cuts through the hole, gets it in. They take a 15-0 lead after going for 2 after this one. Let's watch him celebrate a little bit. And here's Aguilar again. And this play, zone coverage just
So much
leaves
yellow.
Felix Chacon wide open
So much yellow.
in the end zone. And that's a 25-yard touchdown pass. So that's their 3 touchdowns they scored in the first quarter. Here we're moving to the second quarter. Marco Rodriguez, little jet sweep action.
Nice move there at the end.
Yeah, doesn't really have to get touched too much. He goes in for the score.
Good crowd out there tonight.
And, it was a good crowd. Good crowd.
Homecoming.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's kind
Floats.
of
Alex
Gets you the
Aguilar.
floats.
Well, and here's Aguilar. He scores all of his offensive touchdowns, but this one kind of gets tipped right to him. And
I covered 2 or 3 games out there last year, and every game was packed. But I think every game was a big one. It's kind of right.
But, Alex Aguilar, there's a question I have to ask Bob Barnett, our Central Section historian, when we talk about total touchdowns for a quarterback in a season. Does that count when you think about it? Because
it should. I think
it should.
I
He
didn't
scored a
see the
touchdown.
highlight. What happened?
He just
Pick
he
six.
just had a pick 6.
Oh, that counts.
Yeah, that's got to count. So there it is, Shafter. Much like Kennedy are now 6-0, 2-0 in the SSL, and they've still got 2 games in between. And there goes Mike Griffith because he's got to go home, feed the goats, go to bed.
Say hi to Moose for me.
So they've still got games in between, 2 games in between for both Kennedy and Shafter.
Yeah.
But you got to figure this October 19th game might be 2 8-0 teams.
And Shafter
going-
6-0 for the first time since 2012.
Wow. Yeah. So
Inching closer and closer.
yep. And Kennedy is 6-0 for the first time in school history.
I will also say this: there's something to be said about teams. These teams are supposed to win these games, and they're doing it. So
Yeah.
they're taking
Yeah.
care of business.
Yep, very much so.
Yeah.
Strength of schedule wise, I think Kennedy's got the upper hand here, but I don't
Yeah.
know when we get these 2 teams on the field, October 19th. Are you going to get the air raid and the one-man wrecking crew and Alex Aguilar, or are you going to get that triple option veer where you've got 4 or 5 guys running the ball for Kennedy? Like
I think
you saw
if
tonight?
Kennedy can run the ball effectively, and just keep Shafter's offense off the field, obviously they'll be in the football game. If Shafter shuts their run down, they're not going to win. I think, honestly, from what I saw tonight, that was my takeaway.
Yep. Got a few other non-league games to go through here tonight. Kern Valley taking on Strathmore, and Strathmore victorious 42-6. Strathmore is now 5-0 and has now won 21 consecutive games and is still tied with Mater Dei for the current win streak in the state of California, because Mater Dei just beat IMG Academy 28-24 tonight.
Yeah.
So Mater Dei taking on the reins as the number 1 team in the nation. But Strathmore does get to say, hey, you know what? They've got a 21-game win streak. So do we, guys. So they won the 6AA state title last season, went 16-0, and they're now 5-0 this season, while Kern Valley falls to 1-5. Also, still rough going for Burroughs this season. They lose to Bishop 21-17. Bishop is now 3-2, while Burroughs is now 0-5 this year. And we keep talking about it, but it's tough to lose a big senior class like that, and it just keeps rearing its ugly head each week for the Burroughs. Pasadena Poly defeats Cal City 21-6. Poly now 4-1. Cal City falls to 2-3. 8-man. We have no score from Fraser Mountain Layton. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're on pins and needles about this one. And then Desert and 8-man ball loses to Lancaster Baptist 48-34. So it was a quiet week because most of the teams around Bakersfield were on byes. There was only 4 games in town, which means only 5 games from Bakersfield were actually playing tonight because everybody else was on a bye. And other than a few kind of fun games at the end between McFarland and Chavez and West and South and Wasco and Delano, you saw a blowout, I saw a blowout,
I saw a blowout in the office.
Yeah, exactly. You and Lynch, everybody else in the in America watched a blowout. Kevion Thibodeau didn't even watch the rest of the game. It was such a blowout.
How was the
Maybe he
ESPNU
did.
broadcast, out of curiosity?
At one point in the game, they stopped calling the game and started eating burritos.
You're joking.
No. They were eating burritos like in between plays.
Now, were they showing people eating burritos, or were they just not
They were
commenting on what
they were
was
showing them eating burritos.
happening? Interesting.
Yeah, in a game like that, what can you do?
What can you do?
Well, you know what? I mean, they picked the right food. There's great burritos around here.
Good burritos. So, light schedule tonight. Not so much next week. Everybody gets going. So we might as well look ahead since we've got a short show here tonight. In the Southwest Yosemite League, you got BHS at Stockdale. No Carl Jones next week for BHS.
I saw that.
Like we said earlier in the show, he doesn't get to play
What do
against
you
his
get
old head
ejected
coach.
for, Trev?
It's one of those things, much like Hunter Riley had against Clovis West a couple weeks ago for
West.
Liberty, where it's two guys going at it. The last guy that keeps going is the one that gets kicked out.
Yeah,
He's like, I don't know. Yeah, we're fighting for it, and I got caught.
Okay.
Now I don't get to go against my old coach. He has a great love and appreciation for Eric Smith, who was his head coach for 3 years at Golden Valley. And he circled this game. Carl Jones wanted to play against Coach Smith. And I'm sure Eric wants to coach against Carl. They don't get that opportunity now. He gets thrown out with 8 minutes left in the game, in a game that was already at hand. And now he has to probably sit in the stands and watch that game next week.
But if I'm anybody at Stockdale, I'm happy that I don't have to play.
Very much so.
Yeah,
especially the way that he started to run the Wildcat there right before half and in the third quarter. Things are turning around. He was a monster for them on defense. Colorado's defensive back coach, Ashley Ambrosi, was in town watching that game. So was UW's coach, Coach Harris.
Well, I want to say I haven't seen Aguilar play this year, but Jones was the best player I've seen this year.
Yep.
In person.
Yep.
Out of all the games I've covered.
Yep, hands down.
Yeah, all-around player.
And then also in the Southwest Yosemite League next week, Centennial's at Liberty. That's a very intriguing game. Frontier at Garces. That's an intriguing game in the SYL. Independence at Tehachapi. It's going to be, it's always tough to play up at Tehachapi. What does John say?
Not this
Don't
year.
pick against the Tehachapi at home.
And then,
But-
Ridgeview kind of gets, and no offense to Golden Valley, kind of gets a gimme against Golden Valley.
You want to know what? I'm
League
excited
play.
for league play to start. I really haven't seen a lot of great football games. But the best game I saw was BCHS Garces week 1. That game ended at midnight. I just want to see some competitive games. I think league
I've
play is
covered
gonna
one
bring that.
non-blowout. which is
Seriously.
the Centennial
I'm excited for
Rigetti
league
game.
play, so
Yeah.
I think you guys are just bad luck. I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
We want to change that in league play, Josh.
Also in the SYL next week, West at BCHS. That's an interesting game. You see West.
Yeah, now,
had a big game against
I'll
South.
tell you right now, if I went to West South tonight, the final score would have been 46-6.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Who would have won?
SEYL, now they have 6 teams in that league instead of 5, so East is at Miramonte. Can Miramonte beat East and go win 3 consecutive games?
Looking good.
It's looking okay now.
I might
South
pick
is at
Miramonte,
Foothill,
yeah.
so South can probably come up and get a win. And then the big one is North at Highland next week to open up league play. That's an intriguing game. And then the SSL, Chavez at Arvin, Kennedy's at Wasco. I like that game. Shafter, McFarland. Shafter's probably going to be able to get up and early on that one. So you got some good stuff. And then Delano's got to play Tulare Western, who Tulare Western might actually be better than Tulare Union this year in D2. So that'll be really interesting to see what Delano's able to do.
Not an easy start.
Yeah, not an easy start, but we've got some big games next week and kind of get everything amped up. And now the games really matter. The non-league games are just kind of dressing, just to kind of see exactly what we're going to get. The games matter, but they don't matter, because the games that really matter is how you finish out in league, and then once you get into playoffs, because as long as you win a section title, you move on to state. So you can go playoffs. So you can go 0-5 in non-league play and still make it to the state playoffs as long as you win your section title. So, can Liberty overcome, these losses that they've had against Buchanan and Mission Viejo? Can they overcome those losses? They're 3-2 start. Can BHS do the same thing? Can BCHS find a way and play, competitively in D3? Can Garces do the same thing? They had a very, very tough non-league schedule where they went 1-4. The only win was over Tehachapi.
Yeah.
Can all these teams, who played up in schedule in the first 5 and 6 weeks of the season, can they turn around and play well in league, get into playoffs, and learn from these? And maybe the game slows down for them a little bit, because everybody says when you play the best, the game starts to slow down. We'll have to wait and see once everybody gets on the same level playing field over the next 5 weeks in league before we start playoffs.
Yep.
Teddy, final takeaway from tonight. I know you showed up late.
Final takeaway tonight was kind of like you said, there weren't a lot of close games. I generally just do the takeaway for my game because that's what I focused on. And I liked the Sandoval kid from Kennedy. I thought that he was a very quick back. He does a lot for them out of the backfield. And, of course, Walker. I like what they bring out of the backfield there, and I'm excited to see them against Shafter in 3 weeks, assuming both teams keep playing.
And it's good to see Sandoval back. He was injured in the third week of the season. He's coming back. I mean, he really is a big playmaker.
He's a good player.
I remember you looked at me on like Wednesday and you're like, dude,
this kid has 20 carries for like 400, 500 yards.
Yeah, exactly. So every time, I mean, he's a big play back every time he gets his hands on the ball. So
yeah, I'm excited to see them against Shafter. I think that, again, assuming that the teams continue to handle business, it's going to be a good game.
Yep. John?
Basically, Taft forced Shafter to beat them through the air, and they did.
Yep.
Aguilar threw it around pretty well,
and
had guys open.
He
gets his
continues to show
interception.
you that he's probably the best small school football player in the Central Valley, and he might be the best small school football player in the state.
He's awesome. I mean,
And
honestly.
talking to head coach Gerald Perucci after the game, he says Alex really has come a long way, and he's coming along, getting more confident at that safety spot where, he thinks he'll probably play.
Yeah, he'll probably
college
end up playing.
football.
It is unbelievable
Yeah.
with all the numbers he's put up at quarterback. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying one way or the other.
The numbers are the numbers.
He wouldn't get a look at quarterback.
But so many times you see this where, a kid is just really good at playing quarterback at high school level because guess what? He's the best athlete on the field.
No, sure. I get it.
Sonny Rufus is the number one factor for that. The dude was not recruited as a quarterback out of high school, and now he's a 4-year starter at Nevada at safety.
Right. Well, again, it's also the type of offense you play in, and that plays a factor.
It
as
is
well.
a very the system that Perucci coaches. You saw what they were able to do with Brandon Jones at BCHS, and you see what they're able to do now with Aguilar. And I'm not downplaying either one of those quarterbacks. Obviously, Brandon Jones, a Division I quarterback, he's at UTEP.
Well, and I say that about BHS too. Like Rufus, obviously Cam Williams is a great athlete. He's going to go to college as a safety.
Yep.
Yeah, same with Carl Jones. Great offensive weapon.
They're
to
going
Colorado
all
as
as
a
defensive
D-back.
backs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They're all defensive backs.
Well, you think about how many great defensive backs have come out of. Anthony Mariscal was a defensive back before he moved back to running back.
DJ Reed.
Yeah. Lawrence White was a quarterback in high school, and he's a defensive back.
The entire BHS secondary is lights out this year. Yeah. J-Ben, what was your takeaway, though? Yeah. Was it the burritos during the game?
Well, I didn't get to have the burrito, so no, I wish. But
I got you, buddy.
Yeah. Honestly, obviously we were watching that game in the office because it was on national TV, and you think about the players on both teams, and you just kind of why did this game really happen? I mean, it was out of hand from the start. It ended up being a big waste of time, money, and resources on ESPN's part. Even BCHS and Oaks Christian, they made the trip down here, and for what? To play catch in the yard at this rate.
That might have been more fun.
Yeah. You just got to feel for those players. Kind of, that's not a good look. It didn't make us look good on national TV as a football community. And personally, I don't think it should have happened. It was a mistake.
Well, that's J-Ben's takeaway.
Yeah.
And you know what? Tough to argue with you.
I like the idea of playing top competition and challenging yourself and knowing that but even though you're going to lose, you're going to improve yourself.
You don't take anything away from that game.
When the
embarrassed
score was the
yourself
way
on
it
national
was,
TV. Yeah.
Clearly, one team was far superior than
and if it was a BCH team in the past, okay, sure, but you kind of have to know you're on a down year this year, so why even do it? And gauging from some of the responses on Twitter, because I'm handling the Twitter account for BVarsity, so I'm seeing all these responses, and a lot of people felt the same way. They didn't know why this was happening, why it was on national TV.
People felt the same way when I covered Garces St. John Bosco.
Yeah, but at least that wasn't on TV for everyone to see.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So that's my takeaway. I feel for the BCHS players. They shouldn't have gone through that today.
Okay.
Trev, your takeaway.
Yeah.
I think that it was a lackluster first half of the big schools. First half of the regular season for the big schools in the county. They took their stabs at it. Liberty tried their hands at Buchanan and Mission Viejo and came up short. BHS tried their hand against Sierra Canyon and Servite came up short. BCHS tried their hand against Faith Lutheran out in Las Vegas, and Oaks Christian came up short. Garces did the same thing, came up short.
Now, I just thought the Liberty Buchanan game. Do you think Liberty should have won or could have won that game?
No,
Really?
especially after I see what Buchanan did tonight. They
But I'm talking about the game you covered. When you were sitting covering that game, I thought you came back here for some reason. I could be mistaken. I thought you came back and said you thought they should have won or very easily could have won.
I think they could have won, but that's any game where you turn the ball over and you give your other team opportunities. But it's one of those things where you play up and you play at the best competition. We'll see how league plays out and what we get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm just stumbling over my words.
Long week.
Well, I'm just so I apologize to anybody that was trying to watch this live. We did not get it up on the website either, it looks like. So technical difficulties. I'm going to go back and I'm going to upload this right onto Facebook and get it on demand on the website right now. So,
Next week will be better.
next week will be better, and hopefully it'll be better football on the field as well. So
Looking forward to the second half of the season.
Oh, yeah.
You darn right. Phase 2 is coming for Diana Rodriguez, our director, Teddy Feinberg, John Metis, Josh Bennett. I am Trevor Horn. This is BVarsity Game Night, brought to you by Grapevine MSP and Motor City GMC for Week 6 of the high school football season. We're going to bed because John's going to wake up early and go to BC game down at Huntington Beach. 2 o'clock kickoff for BC tomorrow. And also, if you guys missed it, here's the sports front page tomorrow. BHS, Kennedy, and BC right there. So don't forget to pick up your California tomorrow. Good night.